Alright. Holy crap, that's blurry. Welcome everyone to the NWO Show, your source for everything New World. Good lord, this is what this is... Focus. Yeah? Maybe on me? It's like, come on. We're just gonna live with the autofocus, I guess. Yeah. It's one of those days. How's everybody doing? Yeah. Apparently my camera is deciding on, whether or not it wants to focus on me or back there, apparently. Come on. Pick. On me. Yeah? Oh. So we've had a really busy week in, New World. Yeah. Camera's trying to give away my secret spots.
Nice.
Yeah. So, good times. I'm happy with how things are going. I think we've got some solid opportunities to talk about some big news. We've got potential patch notes coming tonight. For those that are wondering, there is Prime Loot available tonight. And we have patch notes. Well, we don't have patch notes, I lied. We have information on a public test realm. That'll be good.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Wednesday, November 10th, we'll be releasing Public Test Realm as the team continues to hammer down on fixes. If these fixes pass validation, we will have a patch this week. We'll have news on a potential update by tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Our current focus is Public Test Realm, which serves to support our next big update. If we make the patch this week, you'll find an announcement in the official news section of our forums. Otherwise, stay tuned for a further update. Super. So, we know not to keep the stream on all night trying to wait for patch notes that aren't coming tonight. That's what I like to see.
Well, that's very communicative of them. That's really good considering what they said what they said last week, in actual fact.
Exactly. It's definitely a solid step in the right direction. I've known about the test client for a while, and before people call me out for that, this is how I knew about it. SteamDB gave it away. Yeah, the camera focuses in on the hat. Like, what I need is like a 4-foot stylus that I can hit the autofocus button from here, because whenever I go to hit it, it like tries to focus on the shirt when I'm like right up against it. Yeah, let me. Did it? Ha! I beat you to focusing because you're bad.
Once again,
this is like a $600 camera, guys. Like, this is like a $600 camera. It should not be this shit. What I need to do
where
is
did you
just
buy
turn
that?
off the
The
autofocus.
Saw You Coming boutique.
Yeah. To be fair, the reason I bought it is that DSLR is supposed to be the best image quality. Well,
Oh yeah.
I figured, okay, hey, I can use it for, for something, outside of this as well. But it appears to have a mind of a printer in that it doesn't want to work every time you want it to.
Yeah.
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 Now, if if we were big name streamers, we'd have something like, what is it, A series EOS cameras, and we'd be rocking several $1,000 cameras, but that's not happening. Not on our budget. But McLeod, something is up with your audio. Sounds processed.
That might be down.
Now it sounds choppy. So one of the funny reasons that we do the pre-show now is that almost every time we have some kind of audio or visual bug, and I figure in the pre-show I get a little bit more slack from people versus in the actual show. Then we can actually look like we know what we're doing, right? At least that's my logic. I don't know if that's actually the case, but yeah. Big Bear, good to see you. Good to see you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I am seeing all these follows come in, guys, and I really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys hit that follow button. We do go live every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. We start our pre-show, and at 7 o'clock Eastern time we start our normal show. The pre-show is obviously unscripted, and it's kind of like a between the scenes chat about this, that, and the other thing, and then the actual show, we have a set of show notes that we try and follow and bounce through the actual news of New World. And yeah,
under the hood, sort of.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get. What's weird is that we've got this weird, like, I'm also trying out a new program called Chatty. It's a program that's supposed to help Twitch streamers with chat and seeing everything that's going on. Yeah. What do you think would be in this major patch, and what is expected? This is the look of somebody who knows things. It's so here's the problem of knowing things. Is knowing too much. And that sounds like, that sounds worse than it is. But the reality is, like, if you know what's coming after what's coming, it makes it a lot more difficult to know which is which.
To try and predict, or to put out predictions.
Yeah. Where are they? Sorry, I'm trying to find a specific thing.
Do I go standing a bit better now? Should do.
Sounds deeper than normal.
That's true.
So some things, let's see,
Change
some
it a bit.
things
I'm
I
just
can
doing it a little bit.
yeah. Something's definitely, like, if you listen to the stream, you can tell that your voice is a little bit off. It's something in your equalizer's doing it.
Okay,
so here's the things that I do know that are eventually coming. I can't confirm whether or not they're in the current release for November, but there are currently 6 expeditions in progress. And this right here is going to be the Nostradamus level, Babe Ruth call the shot off in the distance. The names of these 6 expeditions is Unholy Depths, Frozen Passage, Barnacles and Black Powder, Iridanus Coverns, Isabella's Lair, and the Anod. So, little teaser for people there. From there, for people that have been screaming about PvP arenas, we have reason to believe that a PvP arena is on its way into the game. And on the data mining side of things, if people want a little taste of a leak on there, there has been 3 items found in the code, and they're all 3 item class codes for food for horses, equipable saddle, and equipable bridle. Just putting that out there. Not saying it's going to happen, because again, that's data mined, but that right there is little tasty nugget of information you won't get from other streamers.
Is my voice better now?
Yes, that's infinitely better.
Okay. Alright, awesome.
So it does feel quiet. Am I off in thinking that McCod's coming through quiet?
Yeah, I think I did see someone say that it sounded quiet. Let's see if I can fix that, sort that up in my settings.
I could just turn you up on my end, because you're quiet to me.
Yeah, I know. I'm about to check my levels. Yeah, I can bump mine up actually. How about this? Is this a bit better?
Is he on par with me? That's the.
I mean, I hope he's on. I hope I'm on par with you. Yeah.
I mean, voice wise. All right. Awesome.
I don't have access to data mined information, man. Like, say, I'm not going to be on par with you on that.
Most of the gold that was put into the economy has been removed from the economy through dupes. I can confirm that because my company treasury accidentally, because of one of the dupes that happened when they turned off the item transfers, and when you went to buy territory upgrades, there was an issue where it could cause money to dupe in your company treasury. All of that money disappeared. So,
yep,
I can
all of that money that
confirm that they've removed gold from the game.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that removed from the game.
Before anybody says anything about I duped gold, I'd like to note that it was so easy to dupe gold that you could literally accidentally do it, in which I did, and when I found out that it happened, I immediately turned to AGS and said, here's how I did it. So putting that out there.
Yep.
Before people, run to Reddit and bring up the pitchforks. All of the gold is gone. Trust me, I can show you my wallet and I can show you my company's wallet. We're not rich.
We don't own Windsor Royal. Although one of our faction companies do though. Which is nice.
What? No. Hush. Apollo, stop. No. Come here. Yeah, come here. Come here. Yeah. You get the corner of the puppy head? No, not even. You're too short. Yeah. You're too short. Yeah. I should get a separate cam and put it on the dog when he's laying. Yeah. See, if the other problem is I would move this camera, but it's on a mount that's like, yeah, easier said than done. Also, this one might accidentally start changing its focus again, and we don't want that. We've seen where that leads. But, yeah. So, we've got the PTU that was just announced for people just coming in. That's insanely good news. Because that means we're no longer going to be getting patches straight to live. We'll be getting patches to a PTU to get tested in mass before they actually come to the main server. I'm very happy to see that. So, I'm happy to see you guys. It has been a long week. I was a little bit disappointed last week because obviously we had, you know, a lot of news happen while we weren't. That was the guy who played Sam in Game of Thrones. I appreciate that. I wish I was the guy that played Sam in Game of Thrones, because, you know, cha-ching, HBO money. No, unfortunately, 'tis not I. Alright, I see McLeod got his camera up, fix that. Theoretically, I'm gonna go to studio to check this. Awesome. Super. There we go. So that's set. We do actually have kind of an action-packed show, because obviously, like, as I was saying, last week we went on, we had a lot to talk about, and then the patch was delayed, and now we're, you know...
Yeah, and it was a pretty spectacular patch, so...
Yeah,
so, and it was a pretty decent patch in all things considering, you know, compared to previous patches, it was actually a pretty decent patch. So there's a lot of stuff to go through, and it wasn't just the patch; it was also the patch, and then they also released a few other things on the forums as well, which was really good, and it showed how, you know, how just kind of, you know, turned on to the current events and the feeling, you know, for the game and that kind of stuff, like various different things regarding the game. You know, even so far as to, you know, how groups metagame moderation, that kind of thing. So, you know, they seem to have a good handle on certain things.
This last patch addressed so many of the problems. It was a breath of fresh air that they were able to get as many fixes as they were. You know, some of them were pretty trivial fixes, like removing the staircase that enabled you to get out of the starting area in Outpost Rush.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like some of those things, like, you know, that was a pretty artful way of just, you know, just delete the stairwell. Like, if they don't have anything to grab onto, then they can't get out, and that was the only way out. So, that was a really quick fix. But, you know, you also had the hatchet bugs, the, you know, resilience problems where it was mitigating all damage. You know, so many of the other bugs and stuff like that. It's not to say, and this is where, like, I have to caveat this, because otherwise I will get crap for the next week. It's not to say that the game doesn't have bugs still, because it does.
Oh, no. There's still lots of things.
Yeah, there's still many things that they can fix.
They're
But
not just like they're not massively egregious though. That's the thing.
yes, and even with the bugs that are there, as much as people would go crazy and and say, oh, it's awful, it's terrible, everything needs to be fixed. That's just not the case. The game is very playable. So if you're watching this for the first time and thinking, hey, is this a game I want to try out for $40? Like, I've got 370 hours since launch. And I know that people are like, oh, you can't really equate, the time value proposition, to MMOs because they're supposed to be designed differently. But $40 for that amount of time, and I'm still getting new content, and there's content on the horizon. I'm not worried about it. Like, in terms of an investment, $40 is easy. Like, I'm gonna drop $120 on what, Battlefield or the new Rainbow Six Extraction, which I can't talk about too much
for obvious reasons.
Like, there is a lot of really good games coming out that cost a lot more than New World does, that I will probably play a lot less than I played New World. Really, I don't think there's something about that doesn't seem right. It's not that I don't trust you, it's that I want to see it for myself.
With the double equipping weapons, or
$46,000 doesn't seem like the right number. Like, did the servers just like dump everyone out? So as of 22 minutes ago, there were 204,000. Like,
are we looking at SteamDB?
Yeah, looking at the chart.
Well, SteamDB as well. Also, it's Tuesday as well. Steam has its weekly update. Tuesdays typically. It could just be recovering from SteamDB going down for a bit, or Steam services going down for a bit.
Yeah, just checking server statuses here. Looks like it's online. Everything looks like it's online game-wise. It might be Steam that's shitting the bed here. Because it is Tuesday night, so...
Yeah, it's Tuesday night. Steam generally tends to have its update and its downtime and such, so...
Yeah, something's likely up with that number.
Yeah, I just had a bunch of people go into the New World, like on my Steam, so yeah. Alright.
So, interesting. Very, very interesting. Yours shows 200 and some thousand. It's because, like, here's the thing. Literally, as of on the hour, 2300 UTC is 204,000. So it would have to be some kind of server issue.
Yeah,
either
that would be
server issue
like
or something that would cause that kind of dump. Like this is what, like, over here on the chart. Should move that so you can actually see it. That kind of dip that's in the bottom there. I know it's a tiny chart because like that's the size dip that we're talking about. Like, because there were 244,000 people on, that would be 200,000 people that disconnected in 25 minutes with no replacements. Like, Press F to doubt. Sacred Ground is stacking when you don't pick the Blast upgrade, working like before. Yeah. Make sure to report that on the forums.
Yeah, when it's not working as it's intended, like you know, it's the onus is definitely on you to sort of to go and mention it on the forums. I know that the temptation is not to do it if it's in your favor, right? But it really should get reported.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, like, here's the other thing. You got a lot of, like, for everybody that's like, oh, New World's dying. I don't see it. The game still, as a 24-hour peak, has more players than Destiny 2. So, like, in terms of a AAA audience, that's not abnormal. In terms of massive hype around launch and people taking off time and stuff like that, you also have people that had to go back to work. So,
yeah. And there's also those people who, will play it and like burn out, and when they burn out, they will end up playing some other games for a fairly lengthy period of time before they decide to come back, and that's just how it is.
And you've got players, like I'm going to use this as an example, and I'm going to try not to step in it, like Asmongold, who are able to play the game professionally. They're able to log in, play the game nonstop, put in several hundred hours in a very short amount of time. That there is no studio out there that can develop a game fast enough to keep up with that kind of consumption rate. And there is a population that plays the game at that rate. Good on that.
Especially MMOs, especially competitive MMOs.
Yeah.
Like, because the thing is, competitive MMOs, it's one of those things. The onus is on people to sort of to grind as fast and efficiently as they can, in order to get the upper hand, in order to get the competitive edge against their competitors, right? So it's all about, like, just putting in the hours, putting in the efforts, and maximizing the efficiency when you're grinding. And so when you have when you have a game like that and you have an audience like that, especially when it becomes tribal to some degree with various different player groups, like you can see a lot of people putting a lot of time into it very heavily, and it's quite a Herculean effort for a development company to put together enough content for that.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, some of that content that players should be enjoying is player derived, right? Player on player stuff.
Exactly. It's pretty chill, and the reality is, when they do launch new content, which I hinted earlier that there's going to be 6 new invasions. There's been a lot of hints at potentially adding a difficulty setting for the not invasions, incursions, or expeditions. I'm terrible with words tonight, guys. Expeditions. And if they add 6 new expeditions, most of those being end game expeditions, you add in additional ones beyond that, or you take the current ones and create a difficulty setting for them so that they can be played at level 60 against level 65s. All of a sudden it becomes a challenge again. And it becomes a lot more content, and it becomes replayable content, especially if expeditions are a way to buff up your watermark.
Yeah, very much so.
So, the reality is the way for life cycles. It's 165 now. Yeah, I knew something was up with that. It is going to start coming down because we're starting to get off Prime here. And of course it's Tuesday night. Which, for those that don't know, Tuesday night is actually a very difficult night to get people to do anything. If you didn't know this, like movie theaters and stuff like that generally run specials on Tuesday nights, because almost no one goes out and nobody does anything. Like for some, like Tuesday is just a very strange night. It's very similar with MMOs because it's midweek and all that. I've also found that for games, Fridays is a strange night because everybody wants to go out and do stuff because they're finally free from work and the last thing they want to do is sit at their computer. You know, as somebody who sits at their computer all day every day, I can tell you, yeah. I hit Friday and I'm like, I want to go out and do something, anything. Yeah. How do you raise watermark on a server where mark guard is ran by 1 or 2 groups per day if you're lucky? There's a number of places for raising it up to McLeod. What was that area that we did? It's in Eden Grove. You really only need 1 or 2 people there.
Oh Jesus, hang on.
I think it can get you to like 560. It won't get you all the way, but it'll get you up to 560 or so, and it's a good place. It's south of the outpost, the southern outpost in Eden Grove, all the way up at the top. You know, it only takes a couple of people, but you can get a good amount of grind there and jump on opportunities elsewhere. Otherwise, the expeditions, if you run an expedition, you're almost guaranteed to increase your watermark. For the 2 big ones, for Genesis and Lazarus.
Yeah, it was a place actually. Was it the place that we were grinding with a few other people at that time?
Yeah, up in that tower.
Yeah. So it was a place that was close to a place called Grasping Summit. It's in Eden Grove. It's sort of there is a shrine nearby that you can go to, and then you can basically billy goat up the various different cliffs and stuff and get to it. But there is a nice named elite there that you can kill. That helps you. There's definitely a kind of like a solo to small group kind of grind spot, which is quite nice.
Mm-hmm. So there's other spots out there that you can go to grind your watermark. It is possible. It is something that takes time. Now, the other part of this is that I would caution people from using their server transfers right now, because they are going to start merging servers soon. Like, they understand that player density needs to be a thing. They've made the indications in the public already that, hey, we realize that some of the servers are pretty slow. From their perspective, and you gotta remember it's also a business perspective on why they would want to do that. If they can get the game off of as much hardware as it's currently onto less hardware and run less instances of it, it saves them money because they can then rent out that server space to anyone else. And of course, it's no longer drawing a massive amount of power all day, every day. And, people generally do more when there's more people around. So, but if you were looking for a good server to go to, I'm going to pitch Paralysis on US East, mainly because it is very well balanced. Like, pretty much all of Covenant right now is in agreement that we don't really want to take more territory, because we're at like a 4-4-3 split right now in terms of territory ownership, and we really just aren't interested in being the top dog. We'd prefer it to be pretty balanced. So
yeah, it's fairly balanced right
5-4-2. Who's lost?
We grabbed.
Oh, because they took Windsward, didn't they?
Yeah, so it went from
I can't.
from
The thing is, I can't
4-4-3
blame
to
them. Like
5-4-2.
Windsward's worth so much money. Like, you know. Here's what we need to do.
Wait.
We need to convince people to run PvP missions and take Cutlass from us, so that we can go take Everfall.
Well, there might. I think there's a Brightwood war that might kind of flip it out and flip something over. Like, if nobody turns up, it would be a case of like, yeah.
I don't think we're gonna lose Brightwood. The New Legion guys are pretty good.
Oh no, sorry, no, not Brightwood. What am I talking about? I'm being completely.
Is that the other Restless Shore?
Morningdale.
Morningdale.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah. For those that don't know, not every territory is worth owning. We now know this because we own Cutlass Keys, and Cutlass Keys does not make money. We're also not dicks, so we're not going to like raise the taxes on things to the point where it does make money, because that also drives people away. So yeah, there's a bit of that going on. But Paralysis is a server we play on. It's a great server. Highly recommend it to anybody. That said, they're gonna be merging servers, so if you're on a server that feels dead, if you can stick it out for a couple of weeks, they're probably gonna start merging many of them together. So yeah. So what incentives could be added to the game to improve other territories besides the center ones? The centralized market that they proposed is actually a really good idea, because the way that the taxes are going to work ends up distributing the money. And it makes it so that people are, if I'm in Cutlass Keys and I have stuff that I want to sell, I can put it up on the market in Cutlass Keys. And then somebody in Everfall can buy it, or somebody in Morningdale can buy it. I actually really like that idea. It makes it so that you don't all push one area to put all the stuff. And from a market trader perspective, it makes it easier for like storing stuff, because you now can put stockpiles in all the different places and have them empty out at opportune times. Yeah, it makes
Nice.
it makes it so much easier to pick a different place. Like, a lot of people pick Everfall and Windsward as, hey, I have to have a house there because that's where the markets are. Well, if you can get anything anywhere, you can now spread your houses out to the currently lesser used territories that are going to have higher level content for you to run. So for those of us that have hit level 60, I want a house in Ebonscale and I want a house in Morningdale. I've already got a house in Windsward, and that's my southernmost house. And yeah. So I think that's a strong way to do that. I also think that it's complete crap that there is a town upkeep quest on the town board that does nothing to reduce the cost of upkeep for the town itself. Like, just saying.
I think that might be. Yeah, that I don't know whether people have actually. We might need to say something to some people about that, because that's clearly not working as intended. If that's the case.
Like that it should be a high number, but like it should be a percentage, of that. If you get 80% of the thing done before the rent's due, or before the territory upkeep cost is due, then you pay the last 20%. That to me is a much more reasonable thing.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude.
No, right now it doesn't do. The town upkeep quest on the town board does nothing other than help the individual. Like, it is purely there at the moment in order to help the individual, which is not, in my opinion, is not what it should be for. It should be set as a thing to reduce the town upkeep cost, right? Like, that seems to be what it says it does, but it doesn't. I say this as a governor of a territory that literally spends 25,000-30,000 a week on a territory in maintenance, not to mention throwing what money we do receive into upgrades that we lose consistently from the invasions. It's truly a pain. Like, we're treading water owning that territory. Which is also why nobody wants to take it from us.
We have to put in some upgrades actually, because one of the losses was quite an awkward one. So yeah, at some point we need to.
Do we lose turrets or something?
We lost in placements, I think.
Oh yeah, we need that back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the more you know, it's one of those, it is truly a rough time being a territory owner, unless you own Windsward or Everfall. Those two territories are very profitable. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, we lost 3 things. Oh, where shall I find the money? Oh wait, there it is.
Yeah, we got played hard into taking that territory. Yeah. We did win with a great strategy, by the way. Like, a lot of people discount our win because they're like, oh, there were some low-level people on the other side, and it was like, not that many. And we dominated them because the strategy worked. The
strategy worked, and it was coherent for the strategy worked, and it was coherent for everybody involved. That was the thing.
Exactly.
You did a great job in terms of actually directing the battle, which is a very important thing.
Yeah, everybody keeps coming up with these super convoluted strategies for war, and like, here's the recipe for winning a war. Everybody gets in voice comms. From there, your first fight is not based, and people will argue this till they're blue in the face. Your first fight is not over the points. If you're fighting over points the second you leave the camp as an attacker, you're already going to lose. From there, you need to take out siege, and in doing that, you need everybody on your team needs to be involved in the siege effort. If there are not 10 siege pieces of equipment out, you paid for 10, you should have 10 out at all times. Then everybody places a new one, place them until you run out. Nobody buys haste potions, they're useless. I'm sure I'm going to get some flack from people for that one, but frankly, if you're buying haste potions as an attacker, you're already losing. So you're not going to take a territory before they can rotate. Like, they have the inside track on you. They will get there first. So there's that. From there, you need to take out the siege. Once you take out the siege, you all group up on one point. You start swapping repeaters and explosives for firebombs, so that you can make it just miserable for the enemy to stand on the point. And then from there, once you take that point all together, none of this split, couple here, couple there, none of that crap. All together, you take down all of your siege. People who have coins buy new siege. You bring them over to another point. You set up 10 pieces of siege. You now take the point with siege as a massive backing, being able to peel off people and make it very, very toxic to stand on the points. And then when you win that point, you tear everything down. You run over to the other point and place everything over there. Rinse and repeat. It's a real easy strategy. So far, it's worked 100% of the time for us. Defense is a whole different show. Defense is all about getting places quickly. So when I say don't buy haste potions, don't buy haste potions if you're attacking. If you're defending, haste potions are great because you need to get there. You know, what's the counter to this strategy? Explosive turrets. T3 explosive turrets and focus anti-siege. Do not let defenders put out 10 pieces of siege equipment, or they will tear down all of your siege on your fort rapidly if they know what they're doing. When we took Cutlass Keys, honest to God, we had like 5 pieces of siege equipment dead in the first minute. We also had everybody spawn in, even without having skills towards it, we had everybody spawn in with muskets as an offhand weapon, and take a couple of shots at the turret that's being called out, and 50 people taking one shot at that turret, which you can hit from the top of the tents in your camp. You can kill a turret with just that. Like, 50 musket shots, even from unskilled musket players, because you can all load stopping power and powder burn or whatever, and just blast one turret out of the sky. And then you have people swap over to protect turrets and start replacing turrets as they fall, and it's a whole, like, it works as a strategy. Everybody keeps trying to bastardize it and do different things, and it's like, just keep everybody together, build your siege group, build strong ground. And for the people that caught the Sun Tzu reference there, build strong ground so that you can then create toxic ground for your enemy. Yeah. Some Sun Tzu for you. Do you think Voidbent is still worth crafting? Absolutely. I've been saving my coin now, have 100k. Yeah, go for it. Totally.
I need to find and rock out my my Sun Tzu again.
Mm-hmm. I used to read all of the what do they call them? War strategy type books like that.
Yeah.
So like On
strategy
War,
books, yeah.
Hagakori, is the samurai one.
Oh, okay.
Then there's a few others.
Even things like the Prince, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I actually did my last year in college. I did an entire semester with a course that was an independent study on Machiavellian power and control theory, utilizing concepts and use cases from EVE Online.
Oh, that's interesting. I know that people have used.
The conclusion of that was that as long as borders continually shift and populations shift with those borders, the Machiavellian power and control theories from the Prince and from Discourses on Livy actually work very well, and are applied very consistently whether people know it or not. It's very very interesting. It was a really interesting study. I loved that kind of work. Also, Machiavelli is a badass. Had to be said. Terrible human being, but absolute badass. He's the end.
I haven't actually read it.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, Machiavelli is the ends justify the means. Is very much him, regardless of the means.
Yeah.
As long as you can achieve your end goal, then everything you did to get there is justified. So, like, we've only got 10 minutes till the actual show starts here, but, one of the examples that he uses in order to curry favor with the recently conquered people was he created a bad guy created a bunch of a gang of thieves that he was paying for, through another person. Basically, what ended up happening is he then, because he was paying them, knew exactly who they were, rounds them up, gets them arrested, and then beheads them in the village square. And now he's not just the conquering hero, but he's the guy who solved the thorn in their side. And the people loved him for it. So when it comes to, ends justify the means, that's a very twisted example, but that's very much what Machiavelli was about. He was very much about, like, how do you gain the trust and power over people? Which, yeah. Why didn't they sell him out before beheading? Because they didn't know that he was the one who was paying for him. He was the middleman. That's the beauty. And, like, he was a very smart guy. Very smart guy. Knew how to deceive groups of people, but was very, very, very smart on how to convince and hold power. So what's the easiest way to make money in a dead server? Outpost Rush. As long as there are 30 some level 60s on at one point, that's how I would make money.
Yeah, you have to get that 30 in there for it to actually function. Otherwise, it's not really possible as such. But yeah, as long as you can round up like 30 people to do it, like even if it's 30 people on the same kind of of the same faction, yeah, then you're good.
Absolutely. And if it's not popping, 32 people, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
If it's not, like, if you have too few to even do that, then one, make sure you're playing in peak time for that server, because and I know that that's kind of a cop out for that, but you gotta make sure that you're playing in peak time for that server. So for instance, if I was playing at 10 o'clock this morning on a US East server, there's maybe 20 people on that are going to be doing Outpost Rush, so you're going to sit in queue for a long time. But at the same time, now that it's 7 o'clock on the East Coast, you bet you're only going to queue up for 10-15 minutes as people pile in. But aside from that, market gameplay is always a good thing. Buy and sell orders are always, there's always people willing to buy stuff for less or for more than they should. I sold like green wood for a gold a piece the other day, which was just stupid. So I made like 1,000 gold off of that.
That's great when you can get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's lesser examples where people would be like, "Oh, I'll pay 25 cents for fiber." Okay, you can get a shitload of fiber, and that adds up real quick.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff out there. Like on our server right now, checking through the markets because I recently swapped back to being a healer build. The market is almost dry of focus gear. So, being a crafter and building what's missing, you build what's missing and people will buy it, and they'll buy it for a lot. Like, there was one when I looked at the market, there was one set of pants that had full focus on it as an attribute, and I think I paid 400 gold for it. But I don't give a shit, because, that's all coming back to me in a round of Outpost Rush. as long as I win. So that said, again, they're going to start merging servers, so hopefully that solves that problem for you. But I mean, the other side of it is, again, if you're not playing in peak time for that server, then it might not be a good opportunity. Like a good example of this would be like people work nights, but are going to have an opportunity to play during the daytime on a US East server. Like, you're going to have a very different experience playing at 10 o'clock in the morning than you would have at 7:30 at night. Have you read the news about the public test realm? Absolutely. I'm excited to see that.
We'll definitely be talking about that in the show, by the way.
Yes. Yes, that is going to be a good one.
I mean, I'm literally writing up an article about it right now on New York fans, so that should be that should be coming out soon as well.
Awesome. Just taking a moment to view the category. We've got we're in third right now for view count, which is kind of cool. We are, of course, embedded over on newworldfans.com. We very much appreciate our partnership with them. Redbird is also streaming. He's got the number 2 slot. I'm sure he's been streaming probably all day at this point. He actually just went full-time streamer, so I'm really happy for him. And then in the top spot, not putting my foot in it, is Zach Rar. So props to him. He uses his other channel to kind of have a more relaxed show, and then he's got the Aspen Gold channel. They're very different. So yeah, it's an interesting night, that's for sure. My dog likes to growl at people getting in the elevator, because the elevator's like right outside. And always afraid.
He's just saying, like, I'm here, by the way. You dare try and come in.
Hey, no, 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 no. Yeah, you were like 6 kinds of triggered. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah, focus on me. Yeah, focus on me. Oh. You can bat at that door all you want, you're not going out there. I know you want to follow the dog. It's not what's going to happen here. No. You can be as disappointed as you want. Oh.
See, this is the thing with dogs and dog owners. Like, they have this innate ability to be able to understand what they mean, each other sort of.
Yeah, we're having a full conversation here. This is a two-sided thing. Like he's, yeah. Apollo.
Sometimes you don't even. Sometimes it doesn't need to have like oral kind of conversation as such. It's literally just looks, and you kind of like, yeah, I know that look.
One of the other problems, and this is gonna be the last thing I hit before we go into the live show here, is that I believe one of the dogs on this floor has gone into heat. So it's driving him a little crazy.
Yeah, it will be.
So on that news, let's hit the show.
Hey, just before that though, I just want to say that that if you're watching this after the fact kind of thing, like say if you're watching it on YouTube, We're probably going to break this up a little bit. So this will probably come to the end of like the sort of like the pre-show sort of bit. We'll have a card on the like probably on the top right hand side with a link to the next part of the show. So check that out. And if you're watching it, obviously post. Definitely hit that like and subscribe and stuff like that.
Absolutely. All right, we will see you guys on the other side.